Hi everyone, my name is Malvika Rajkumar. Today I'll be talking to you about citizenship in India and what it means to be a citizen, what is PIO, what is OCI. So I'm going to talk about this in detail with respect to what the history of citizenship is. So let's start with what is citizenship. Now, citizenship is the legal status that is given to a person by a government saying that they are part of that country. So citizenship conceptually, it means any recognition that's given to a person through a form of like acknowledging their membership, and through this they also have rights and duties which they have to fulfill. So the rights of citizens are different from those who are not citizens in India, and I'm going to refer to them as non-citizens. For example, only citizens can contest in elections in India. The constitution very clearly states that if you want to be a part of the parliament or you want to be part of the state legislatures, you need to be an Indian citizen, and non-citizens cannot contest in elections. So let's look at what the history of citizenship is to understand how it has come about since 1950. So during the Constituent Assembly debates that took place before the Constitution, two concepts of citizenship were discussed in detail. One being jus soli, which means based on birth, and the other one based on race, known as jus sanguini. India went with jus soli, which is citizenship based on birth, and that is reflected in the current law. If you see, the original constitutional provisions from Article 5 to 11 reflected this particular approach, so it guaranteed citizenship on the basis of birth and on the basis of domicile. Then the position was expanded by the Citizenship Act 1955, and it also, through all the amendments that happened in 1987 and in 2003, citizenship was now also allowed on the basis of registration and on the basis of naturalization. That means on the basis of race as well. So the Citizenship Amendment Act of 1955 originally provided two grounds of citizenship. One which is based on birth, and second which is based on descent. But now, like with the 1986 and the 1992 amendments, it is no longer required that you have to be born in India to be granted a citizenship. It is also held under the law that if you are not born in India and you're born outside India also after January 26, 1950, but before December 10, 1992, then citizenship by descent will be granted. Now, you must have commonly seen in the news about the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019 also. What it said in very crisp terms is that any person that belongs to the Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Jain, Parsi or Christian community that come from Afghanistan, Bangladesh or Pakistan who entered India on or before the 31st day of December 2014 have been exempted by the central government as illegal migrants, meaning they'll no longer be considered illegal migrants. Now, illegal migrants are those persons, those foreigners that enter India without any valid passport or any travel documents. So any of these people in these categories who enter India on or before 2014 are now not illegal migrants under the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019. But it's also important to note that the center brought in the concepts of PIO in 2002 and Overseas Citizenship of India in 2006. They are commonly referred to as PIO and OCI, and that's how I'll be referring to them. Now, these are categories of persons who are legally allowed to enjoy a set of rights in India. So these categories, so basically what happened is that when the discussion came up for dual citizenship in India, which is not recognized in India, meaning you cannot be a citizen of Canada and of India, dual citizenship is not recognized. There was a need to recognize people, foreigners who came into India for work or for other reasons, to also grant them the same protections that Indian citizens have. So to create this sort of protection, these categories called PIO and OCI have come, and I will explain in detail what these categories are and the latest notifications on it. Now, when you talk about the proof of citizenship, like how do you prove that you're a citizenship, there's certain details that you have to keep in mind. Now, in India, there is no document that says that you are a citizen. Like this mandated, like for example, the government has not mandated that citizens should hold any particular document except in Assam through a process known as National Registry of Citizenship. So they have to register themselves. I'm sure you have commonly heard of the term NRC going around. I'll also refer to it as NRC. Now let's look at what is this NRC. Now NRC is a registry that is updated to check whether you are an Indian citizen or not. This is there in Assam since the Assam Accord in 1970, and the NRCs basically includes names of those people or their descendants, meaning those that come after them, who appear in the National Registry of Citizenship in 1951, or those that appear in any electoral rolls up to 1971, or anyone who has any documents to prove that they were part of that area up till 1971, or anyone who can prove their presence in Assam or any other part of India before or on 24th March 1971. Now, there are two requirements for your name to be included in the NRC list, and this is particularly for Assam. You can see all this information in the Assam government website if you want to read more about it. The two requirements are that the existence of a person's name before 1971 is definitely required if you need to prove something, and you have to prove the linkage with that person. So for everyone after 1971, it has been a tough venture to actually prove citizenship. So that is why it's important for everyone here to know that proof of identification is very different from proof of citizenship. Many people think that just because they have an Aadhaar card or a passport card that they are citizens of India. That is not true. These are all identification documents under the law, and there have been Bombay High Court judgments which clearly state that passport is not proof of citizenship. So just because you have a passport, it does not mean that you are a citizen. So the purpose of identification documents are very different from a proof of citizenship. For example, with Aadhaar, you can use it for enabling services, getting benefits, like basically reaping benefits that the government provides. Using a driving license, you can drive a motor vehicle. Using a passport, you can travel internationally. And you can use all of these documents to show your proof of identity. That is why it's called identification proof. So when you apply for a PAN card, they may ask you for a proof of identity. You can show your Aadhaar or your passport. Now, these are what is known as identification documents, and they're very different from proof of citizenship. Now, again, as I mentioned, please note that no identification document is conclusive proof of citizenship of India. And moving on from this, I had mentioned before that to work with the question of dual citizenship, two concepts called PIO and OCI have been introduced. So let's look at what are PIOs. Now, PIOs are persons of Indian origin, which means a foreign citizen except a person from Pakistan, Bangladesh, China, Iran, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and Nepal, who at any time held an Indian passport, or if their parents or grandparents or great grandparents were born in India and they resided in India or other territories that became part of India, or someone or a PIO is someone whose spouse is a citizen of India or a PIO. So these are the three ways you are actually called a PIO. Now let's look at what are OCIs. Now, to be an OCI, you need to fit under the conditions that I'm going to mention now. That is, to be an OCI, you will have to be a citizen at the time of the commencement of the Constitution, which is around 1950. And to be an OCI, you have to be eligible to become a citizen in India in terms of by proving citizenship by birth and by descent. Then let's say that you are a person who belonged to a territory which later became a part of India. You can definitely apply for OCI status. And let's say that you are a minor child of any of these conditions that I mentioned before, meaning you are a child of someone who was a citizen around 1950, or had documents to prove they were citizens around 1950, or they were part of territories which were acquired by India. All the children of these people can also be OCIs. And any person who's a minor child where both the parents are citizens of India, or one of the parents are citizens of India, can also apply for the OCI card. And any spouse of any wife or husband of a citizen of India can also apply for the OCI card. And but it's important to note that the marriage has to be registered, and before applying it has to be subsisting for around 2 years. So you'll have to wait for 2 years before you can apply for the OCI card. Now this is the most important part when it comes to PIOs and OCIs. They have been from 2002, when the persons of Indian origin card scheme had started, where you could apply for the PIO card, till today there have been a lot of changes. And the most significant one that happened in 2015 is that, as per the new notifications that you can see, the notification was passed on 9th January 2015. All existing persons who are persons of Indian origin, or PIO, who all were registered under the PIO card schemes or had PIO cards, are all now going to be known as Overseas Citizens of India, or OCIs. This means that all PIO card holders with valid cards up to 2015 are now, basically there was an advisory put saying that they have to apply for OCI card. And the Bureau of Immigration website, that is where you can go to see the application form and the gazette notification for you to read, clearly stated that before a certain time period, the time period they've given is March 31st 2019, but you can still approach the authorities. They said that along with a valid passport, the PIO card holders have to fill in an application form and get registered as a OCI. So their PIO card will now be converted to an OCI card. And at every immigration check post also, all PIO cards are now being checked, are being checked as OCI card. So they'll definitely ask you if you have a OCI card if you're showing a PIO one, because this is a pretty old notification which has stated that anyone who's a PIO has to register as an OCI. So please look at the same. You can go to the boi.gov.in website, which is the Bureau of Immigration website. You can talk to you can get visas from the Indian missions if you are a foreigner, but you should definitely do this. Now, many people keep asking, how do you get citizenship if your Aadhaar and passport are not proofs of citizenship? Now, when you say you are a citizen of India, you can acquire citizenship through 4 ways. One is you are a citizenship by birth, which has a lot of conditions. Secondly, you do it through naturalization, that is over time you stay and you register. Third is you can do it through registration, which also has certain conditions. And the fourth one is through descent, which means like if your ancestors were part of India, then through descent you can also get citizenship. Now we will be conducting a separate session detailing all this because it's quite long and it requires an exhaustive session on its own. But let me highlight how you can lose citizenship, and this is something which is very important to all of us. Now, you can lose your status as an Indian citizen if you give up your Indian citizenship, or you voluntarily acquire citizenship of another country. So if you go to, for example, New Zealand, and you want to be a citizen of New Zealand and you register with them and you finally get citizenship there, it automatically means that your Indian citizenship is terminated, because India does not have provisions for dual citizenship. Dual citizenship meaning where you can be a citizen of two countries. Instead, India has this concept called overseas citizen of India. So if you are a citizen of New Zealand and you want to get rights in India, then you can definitely register as an OCI. Then apart from that, there are some reasons given under the law in the Citizenship Act 1955, which clearly state that if any of these things are done, then you will lose your citizenship and it will be terminated. So the Ministry of Immigration, the Immigration Bureau will definitely terminate if you do any of the following. For example, if you show any sort of disloyalty to the Constitution of India or to the particularly to the Constitution, if your citizenship was obtained fraudulently or by any sort of false representation that you made to court, where you didn't reveal any crucial facts about yourself, like for example, if you were jailed abroad for more than 3 years, etc., then you may lose your citizenship. If during any war, if India is there during any war, for example, and you've unlawfully traded or communicated with the enemy, then also you can lose your citizenship. Now, if you were sentenced to jail in any other country for at least 2 years, then you can lose your citizenship. But again, there's a certain timeline here. For example, let's say you apply for citizenship and you get it, and through registration you've applied and you've gotten it, and within the 5 years itself you get arrested and you're imprisoned for 2 years, then definitely there's a high chance that you may lose your citizenship. Then apart from that, let's say you've been continuously residing out of India for more than 7 years, where you have not been part of any international organization representing India, you're not part of any sort of Indian embassies, you're not working abroad for the government of India, or you're not going abroad for any work or employment, then this definitely means that then it definitely means that there may be a situation where you may lose your citizenship because you've resided out of India for more than 7 years. So these are very important aspects that I've talked about right now. You can definitely visit the Nyaya website under the topic called Identification Proof to understand. But please remember that identification documents are not conclusive proofs of citizenship. So saying that your passport means that you are a citizen of India is incorrect. Citizenship is acquired through 4 means, like I had mentioned, including birth, registration, descent. And we'll have a separate session on that and let you know. But I hope this session was useful. Please drop your comments to Ask Nyaya or in the comment section below. We are also there on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Medium, and YouTube. Thank you.